We are recording in StreamYard. Sounds like we're recording. Oh, I haven't changed my mic.
Have a great show.
Hello, 2 seconds later from our latest goodbye from last week.
I clicked it at you. You're going to have to re-say that. It was very charming. Please say it again.
I didn't hear the click.
Oh, damn it. Well, I ruined it for anyway. Okay, continue.
Look, hello and welcome to the No One Asked You podcast. For this particular series, I'm joined by my wonderful co-host,
ThatDarnKitteh.
ThatDarnKitteh, and I are both going into the story completely new with almost no knowledge of the story or world.
Each segment we intend to cover what happens in each new chapter, and we mean new chapter, and discuss our experience along the way. This is Mistborn Abridged, a very blind read-through of chapter 25.
Chapter 25!
25, literally same day, because we could not wait, okay? I think that means we're enjoying the book.
It might mean that. Maybe.
Let's see if we can continue to enjoy it through this chapter. No, kidding. I don't think one chapter breaks the whole book. Relax. Okay.
No man dies by my hand or command except that I wish there had been another way. Still, I kill them. Sometimes I wish that I weren't such a cursed realist.
Damn.
Ooh, that is dark.
Jeez, you were just literally the previous chapter we had, oh, if I ever don't care about the tears in a child's eyes, I'm beyond redemption. And then the next one, hey, by the way, slap across the face, I killed him. But I'm doing it for the right reasons, okay? So that makes it okay.
That's so much cope. Oh,
yeah.
I don't want to kill you. I have to.
Okay, it's just for the greater good, okay? It's for the betterment of society. Do you want to be on the wrong side of history? Just, yeah. Very
realist. Wow.
Damn. And it'll be interesting to see how keep this in mind. How do we keep this in mind going through what we read here? Yeah. We're talking about killing. Okay.
Just because don't do it. It's not worth it. Even if the final empire is not worth it if you have to. The ends do not justify the means, sir.
Yeah. The world's already quite unhappy. So yeah, I don't think it's worth it.
No. Kelsier tossed another water jug into his pack. Breeze, make a list of all the hideouts where you and I recruited. Go warn them that the ministry might soon have prisoners who could give them away. Breeze nodded, for once refraining from making any witty remarks. Behind him, apprentices scrambled through Clubs' shop, gathering and preparing the supplies that Kelsier had ordered. Docs, this shop should be secure unless they capture Yedden. Keep all 3 of Clubs' tin eyes on watch. If there's trouble, head for the bolt lair. Okay, so they know. This is panic mode.
Yeah, good storytelling. Good. We don't need the them finding out bit, okay?
We just read it. We don't need to hear it rehashed, yeah.
And Breeze is silent. Then you know, okay? You know, shit is going down. And that's what we're thinking. Oh, unless they capture Yedden, so it's like, okay, they also need. They're thinking about everything, all the eventualities, all the things. Okay, we got to get out of here. God, it's more shit hitting the fan. Bolt layer is a thing, by the way.
Yeah, that's neat. Okay. Doxson nodded in acknowledgement as he hurriedly gave orders to the apprentices. One had already left, bearing a warning to Renault. Kelsier thought that the mansion would be safe, only that one group of barges had left from Felice, and its men had thought that Renault wasn't in on the plan. Renault wouldn't pull out unless absolutely necessary. His disappearance would require removing both himself and Valette from their carefully prepared positions.
Oh, damn. I look, I haven't had enough time to think about all these things. So right now I'm like, right. Renault is in danger. Could be in danger. I don't, geographically, I don't think so. But the thing is, he might have to withdraw. And what does that mean for Vin? Hello? Yeah, so this is my brain going, ooh, yes.
Well, I mean, Vin is, with them right now, so
Mhm.
I can't imagine Vin is in too
No.
much danger. I mean, any more so than any of the others in the crew at this
Yeah.
moment. It's Renault that doesn't know. So what happens to Renault if he is made?
Exactly.
Like,
What
what could
happens
he
to
do?
everyone?
Does he join the rest of the crew at some sort of safe house, or does he go off and conjure elsewhere? Or what? Kelsier stuffed a handful of rations into his pack, then swung it onto his back. What about me, Kel? You're going back to the garrison like you promised. That was clever thinking. We need an informant in there. Ham frowned apprehensively. I don't have time to deal with your nerves right now, Ham. You don't have to scam, just be yourself and listen. I won't turn against the garrison if I go with them, he said. I'll listen, but I'm not going to attack men who think I'm their ally. Okay, look,
Moral
I'm not
hand.
asking...
Yeah.
You support that decision?
That, like, he won't turn. Look, how is he going to turn? How is he going to turn against them? But
Do you expect him to attack the rebels?
No, I don't think so. That's what
'Cause-
I'm like, I don't know if he would attack the rebels. I don't think he would at all, because he was the general. He cares about them. But I don't
he
think
says
he would turn. He would try not to turn on the garrison itself. So I don't know. He just would run away. I don't know.
that
That's
puts
what I
him in
mean.
a really tough position.
Yeah, it does. You're right.
I
He's confused. He's not seeing that he actually has no option. That's why he doesn't want to do this.
Yeah. Oh man, everyone is... Oh gosh. Oh no, this is...
But look what Calcius says. That's basically the thing that I'm like, okay, well then you're gonna have to do this is the plan then. This is what his plan is. This is what Calcius says, yeah.
Fine, Kelsier said curtly, but I sincerely hope you can find a way to not kill any of our soldiers either. Sazed. Yes, Mr. Kelsier. How much speed do you have stored up? Sazed flushed slightly, glancing at the numerous people scurrying around. Perhaps 2-3 hours? It is a very difficult attribute to collect. Not long enough, Kelsier said. I'll go alone. Dox is in charge until I get back. Kelsier spun toward the door, then hesitated. Vin stood there in the same trousers, cap, and shirt she had worn to the garrison. She had a pack like his slung over her shoulder, and she looked up at him defiantly. Ooh, defiantly. What is she thinking? This is going to be a difficult trip, Vin, he said. You've never done anything like this before.
That's fine. Okay, so her defiance is, don't you dare try and leave me behind.
Yeah. Okay. Kelsier nodded. He pulled his trunk out from beneath the table, then opened it and poured Vin a small pouch of pewter beads. She accepted it without comment. Swallow 5 of those beads.
5?
For now, Kelsier said. If you need to take some more, call to me so we can stop running.
Running?
The girl asked.
We're not taking a canal boat?
Kelsier frowned. Why would we need a boat? Vin glanced down at the pouch, then grabbed a cup of water and began to swallow beads. Make sure you have enough water in that pack, Kelsier said. Take as much as you can carry. He left her, walking over to lay a hand on Dockson's shoulder. It's about 3 hours before sunset. If we push hard, we can get there by noon tomorrow. Dockson nodded. That might be early enough. Maybe, Kelsier thought. The Veltro garrison is only 3 days' march from Holstep. Even riding all night, a messenger couldn't have gotten to Luthadel in under 2 days by the time I get to the army. Well, here's my question. Okay? If the army, if the rebellion is doing what they are doing, such that the Luthadel garrison is about to leave the city, why is Kelsier and the crew leaving the city? Why aren't they preparing to hit up Kredek Shah?
That was the plan. Yeah, exactly. That was the immediate thought that you had last chapter. You're like, okay, so that means we have to just go, we're skipping some steps because the certain step has occurred. I thought that was what was going to happen. But
Right.
remember, Vin was like, those people are going to get massacred or whatever. So are they going to go and save the army?
I mean,
Again,
the cat's
yeah.
out of the bag now. I don't
Mm-hmm.
see what good.
Yeah,
Like,
we
obviously, they are lives. We don't want them to die. That we are
Mhm.
responsible in that way because we put them together. But the plan was always to get
yeah.
trust in Yedden,
Mm-hmm.
or have Ham or Breeze, or hell, even Doxson.
Mm-hmm.
Well, except they can't because Kelsier is the one that can get there
They can move.
fastest.
Yeah.
But
I
they
mean,
had to have planned on having Kelsier be in the city to hit up Credit Shaw, because who else could hit up Credit Shaw?
exactly. And also, we're just thinking, those lives, whatever, go to waste if they
Yeah.
never get another opportunity to go into Critic Show. That was the whole idea. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I guess then it's also like we don't even know why this happened. So maybe that's it as well. We need to know what happened, because maybe
Yeah.
we're being lured in. I don't know what we don't know what the Lord ruler knows. I'm so confused and very panicked. But yeah, I'm glad we're doing this read through now.
Yes. Doxson could obviously read the worry in Kelsier's eyes. Either way, the army is useless to us now, he said. I know, Kelsier said. This is just about saving those men's lives. I'll get word to you as soon as I can.
Which is
Doxson
like,
nodded.
wow. Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Just like, that's like, oh shit, because we've been spending a lot of time thinking about Kelsier bad arc, right? We've been like, oh,
Right.
Kelsier. And then it's like, no, Kelsier doesn't give a shit now. He's going to go and save those men's lives.
Yeah, except that there is no talk about going to Credit Shaw, at least not yet. So it could be that it's good that that's where his instinct goes, to saving lives first.
Maybe he's avoiding it because he knows he shall lose.
Doxson nodded. Kelsier turned, flaring his pewter. His pack suddenly became as light as if it had been empty. Burn your pewter, Vin. We're leaving. She nodded, and Kelsier felt a pulsing coming from her. Flare it, he ordered, pulling 2 mist cloaks from his trunk and tossing one to her. He put on the other, then walked forward, throwing open the back door to the kitchen. The red sun was bright overhead. Frantic crew members paused for a moment, turning to watch as Kelsier and Vin left the building. The girl hurried forward to walk at Kelsier's side.
Ham told me that I should learn to use pewter only when I need it. He said it's better to be subtle.
Kelsier turned to face the girl. Ooh.
Stop with the
like
girl
that.
stuff. Ooh. Yeah.
I like that she learned that lesson. This is not the time for subtlety. Stay close to me, try to keep up, and make absolutely certain you don't run out of pewter. Vin nodded, suddenly looking a bit apprehensive. All right, Kelsier said, taking a deep breath. Let's go. Okay, things are moving quickly. And Kelsier is being very serious right now.
He keeps also in his mind the girl. I don't know. It's weird.
That's not lost on me.
It just gives you a different sense of where his mind is. Just that sort of phrasing is very important.
Yeah. Kelsier took off down the alleyway in a superhuman dash. Vin jumped into motion, following him out of the alley and onto the street. Pewter was a blazing fire within her. Flared as it was, she would probably go through all 5 beads in barely an hour. The street was busy with ska workers and noble carriages. Kelsier ignored the traffic, bolting out into the center of the street, maintaining his ridiculous speed. Vin followed, growing increasingly worried about what she had gotten herself into.
I can't let him go alone,
she thought. Of course, the last time she'd forced Kelsier to take her with him, she'd ended up half dead in a sickbed for a month. Kelsier wove between carriages, brushing past pedestrians, charging down the street as if it were meant only for him. Vin followed as best as she could, the ground a blur beneath her feet, people passing too quickly to see their faces. Some of them called out after her, their voices annoyed. A couple of these, however, choked off immediately, falling silent.
The cloaks,
Vin thought.
That's why we're wearing them. That's why we always wear them. Noblemen who see them as cloaks will know to stay out of our way.
Kelsier turned, running directly toward the northern city gates. Vin followed. Kelsier didn't slow as he approached the gates, and the lines of people began to point, checkpoint guards turning with surprised faces. Kelsier jumped. One of the armored guards crumpled to the ground with a cry, smashed down by Kelsier's allomantic weight as the crew leader passed overhead. Oh shit, did he
Did you just jump on him?
used the guard to
No!
jump.
He pushed the guard down. Yeah?
Wait, so did he kill the guard or did he use the guard as the anchor to push himself up? I think he used him as an anchor.
Mm-hmm. Crumpled to the ground. Yeah, he used him as an anchor, so he's just like falls to his knees. Yeah.
Vin took a breath, dropped a coin to give herself a bit of lift, and jumped. She easily cleared a second guard who looked up with surprise as his companion squirmed on the ground. Okay, so he's not dead.
He's not dead. He's not compacted.
Vin pushed against the soldier's armor, throwing herself higher into the air. The man staggered but stayed on his feet. Vin was nowhere near as heavy as Kelsier. She shot over the wall, hearing cries of surprise from the soldiers on top of it. She could only hope that nobody recognized her. It wasn't likely. Though her cap flew free as she soared through the air, those who were familiar with Valette, the court-going lady, would probably never connect her to a Mistborn in dirty trousers. Vin's cloak whipped angrily in the passing air. Kelsier completed his arc before her and began to descend, and Vin soon followed. It felt very strange to use allomancy in the sunlight. Unnatural, even. It's funny, because I was going to comment on that.
Mhm.
That's
Yeah.
unique.
Yeah, she hasn't done this before. And listen, the first time Kelsier was doing it was when he was showing off to the army people.
Yeah.
So it's not natural. It doesn't feel natural for any Mistborn at this point.
No, this is
It's weird.
high stakes, very special circumstances. Vin made the mistake of looking down as she fell. Instead of comfortable swirling mists, she saw the ground far below.
Oh, that's another change.
Oh, yeah.
You don't have you get to see the exact. Yeah, that's true. That is a very oopsie. Yeah, I didn't even consider that. That's very scary. So high.
Vin thought with horror. Fortunately, she wasn't too disoriented to push against the coin Kelsier had used to land. She slowed her descent to a manageable level before thumping against the ashen earth. Kelsier immediately took off down the highway. Vin followed him, ignoring merchants and travelers. Now that they were out of the city, she had thought Kelsier might slow down. He didn't. He sped up. And suddenly she understood. Kelsier didn't intend to walk or even jog to the caves. He planned to dash all the way there.
Sheesh.
Oh, I got that from before.
Mm-hmm.
It was a 2-week trip by canal. How long would it take them? They were moving fast, horribly fast. Slower than a galloping horse, certainly, but surely a horse couldn't maintain such a gallop for long. Vin didn't feel fatigue as she ran. She relied on the pewter, only passing a little of the strain onto her body. She could barely feel her footsteps hitting the ground beneath her, and with such a large reserve of pewter, she felt that she could maintain the speed for a decent length of time. Oh, this is going to be tough to come off of, too.
Yeah, she's not flaring the way she was before in the city, because she was saying that that's going to be for an hour. That's about it.
Mm-hmm.
She could, if she ran through that, she would get through all of those beads in an hour. But he has sped up, so I don't know. I guess it's the rate of burning. I don't know. It's not flaring exactly what she's doing, but it is burning it. I don't know. I'm just saying there is some change. Yeah.
I'm thinking of what Ham said last week about people who flare their pewter for too long, and then the fatigue gets them when they're done.
Yeah, you die. Yeah, exactly. That is a worry. Like, this is the first time she's done something like this, so she doesn't know how to come off it. So I really hope she is okay. At least she knows the dangers, and she is putting a little bit of strain on her body so she can kind of keep an eye on what her fatigue level is like. At the moment. So yeah, it is dangerous. What they're doing right now, never mind getting caught, just the use of allomancy this way is crazy.
Yeah, I hate to say she maybe should have stayed with Doxin and helped Doxin out, but and Kelsier, she doesn't know where Kelsier is going, really, so she can't say, go on without me, I'll catch up. Kelsier has to slow down for her.
Mm-hmm.
Which, I don't mean that like she's a burden or anything. It's just, that's the situation.
She got shorter legs, man. She's probably gonna have to burn more pewter than him. Yeah, it's just
Mhm.
they're not the same car, okay? So also the another thing as well that came to mind when you were just talking about that, which I'm just hoping my brain will pick up. Come on, it was about running. Oh yes, that's it. Oh, good girl, Chinsia. So the just a note here that Sazed had speed stored basically, so he could do
Mm.
he could go for 3 hours. So it was a possibility that he could have gone with Calcia. He just can't go for as long because of how
Or
much
that
he had
they
stored up.
send him instead.
Yeah, exactly. So, but he look at the similarities between the two powers. You know, it's going back to
True.
your last week's stuff about how Alamancy. Look, clearly the keeper's powers happened. They were available beforehand. That they existed before the deepness thing happened, but then afterwards we got Alamancy. So, and they're related. We know they're related. Very
Mhm.
interesting. Okay.
Interesting. She caught up to Kelsier, falling into place beside him.
This is easier than I thought it would be.
Pewter enhances your balance, Kelsier said. Otherwise, you'd be tripping over yourself right now.
What do you think we'll find at the caves, I mean?
Kelsier shook his head. No use talking. Save your strength.
But I'm not feeling weary at all.
We'll see what you say in 16 hours, Kelsier said, speeding up further. Jeez, indeed. Speeding up further as they turned off the highway, running onto the wide towpath beside the Luthdaven Canal.
16 hours!
Vin fell behind Kelsier slightly, giving herself plenty of space to run. Kelsier increased their speed until they were going at a maddening pace. He was right. In any other context, she would have quickly missed her step on the uneven road. Yet with Pewter and Tin guiding her, she managed to stay on her feet, though doing so required increasing attention as the evening grew dark and the mists came out. Occasionally, Kelsier threw down a coin and launched himself from one hilltop to another. However, he mostly kept them running at an even pace, sticking to the canal. Hours passed, and Vin began to feel the fatigue that he had implied would come. She maintained her speed, but she could feel something underneath it, a resistance within, a longing to stop and rest. Despite Pewter's power, her body was running out of strength. She made certain to never let her pewter run low. She feared that if it ever went out, the fatigue would come upon her so powerfully that she wouldn't be able to get started again. Kelsier also ordered her to drink a ridiculous amount of water, though she wasn't that thirsty. Okay.
That makes sense.
Yeah, that's smart and
keep the body hydrated, because it is, as much as you're burning pewter and everything, that means it's doing all of the things it usually does quite a lot faster. So you do need to keep drinking.
yes, and I'm hoping that she will be able to continue to burn pewter when all is said and done, and she'll be able to feel eventually well rested enough to be able to slowly burn less and less.
Yeah, that's
There has to be a recovery process.
When will they have time? I'm just like, they're gonna jump into battle, and oh god. And yeah, she is I'm glad that she's keeping an eye on that fatigue, but yeah, she's gone to that level. Yeah, the body is done under there.
The night grew dark and silent, no travelers daring to brave the mists. They passed canal boats and barges tied up for the night, as well as the occasional camp of canalmen, their tents huddled closely against the mists. Twice they saw mist wraiths on the road, the first one giving Vin a terrible start. Kelsier just passed it by, completely ignoring the horrific translucent remnants of the people and animals who had been ingested, their bones now forming the mist wraith's own skeleton. That's our second mist wraith sighting this book, yes?
Yeah. Still disturbing, thank you.
So cute, I want one. Still he kept running. Time became a blur, and the running came to dominate all that Vin was and did. Moving demanded so much attention that she could barely focus on Kelsier ahead of her in the mists. She kept putting one foot ahead of the other, her body remaining strong, yet at the same time feeling incredibly exhausted. Every step, quick though it was, became a chore. She began to yearn for rest. Kelsier didn't give it to her. He kept running, forcing her on, maintaining the incredible speed. Vin's world became a timeless thing of forced pain and burgeoning enervation. They slowed occasionally to drink water or swallow more pewter beads, but she never stopped running. It was like she couldn't stop. Vin let the exhaustion overwhelm her mind. Flared pewter was everything. She was nothing else. Light surprised her. The sun began to rise, the mists vanishing, but Kelsier didn't let the illumination stop them. How could he? They had to run. They had to keep running. Remember all those chapters ago when Kelsier had said people who burn metal for too long, it's like weird.
It breaks their mind.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Is that what we're seeing right here?
Yeah, well, yeah, it's also just even the normal thing even without being under the influence, doing something for an extended period of time, the same thing for a very long time, focusing on the same thing for a very long time, does shit to your mind. Okay, so that's without the drugs, basically. And now she's, and this is now under the influence doing that, so it's even worse. So she when you're doing something like that for such an extended period of time, you do lose yourself in it. That's kind of just what would happen to your brain. You wouldn't you wouldn't be able to have like an extended chat with yourself on the way. You would just do like one foot in front of the other, one foot in front of the other, and so she's kind of lost everything as well. She's losing consciousness of everything, really. She's just a machine now.
I am really, really feeling the pressure in this chapter, the speed, the intensity. It's really well written. Good stuff.
Yeah. And here we go. I'm going to die.
It wasn't the first time the thought had occurred to Vin during the run. In fact, the idea kept circling in her mind, picking at her brain like a carrion bird. She kept moving, running.
I hate running,
she thought.
That's why I've always lived in a city, not out in the countryside, so I wouldn't have to run.
Something within her knew that the thought didn't make any kind of sense. However, lucidity was not currently one of her virtues.
I hate Kelsier too. It just keeps on going. How long has it been since the sun rose? Minutes? Hours? Weeks? Years? I swear I don't think...
Kelsier slowed to a stop on the road ahead of her. Okay, those are not lucid thoughts at all.
It's just all over the place. She's like, yeah, years? Like, even the exaggeration there could be... She doesn't know. She's there. Again, that's what happens to your brain when you do something that is so similar for a very long time. You lose track of time.
Yeah.
It's like being in a
poor
trance.
Vin.
And then she's like, yo, she hates Kelsier. She's like, why are we running?
And
I hate
it's
running.
like there's something in her that it's such that is true. Because she wouldn't think it if it weren't in her in some way.
Yeah.
So, intensity. Kelsier slowed to a stop on the road ahead of her. Vin was so stunned that she nearly collided with him. She stumbled, slowing herself maladroitly as if she had forgotten how to do anything other than run. On this week's episode of Maladroit Watch, we got our third maladroit.
But we got it from Vin. Woo!
Yeah. She stopped, then stared down at her feet, dumbfounded.
This is wrong.
She thought.
I can't just stand here. I have to be moving.
She felt herself begin to move again, but Kelsier grabbed her. She struggled in his grip, resisting weakly.
Rest.
Something within her said.
Relax. You've forgotten what that is, but it's so nice.
Vin, Kelsier said, don't extinguish your pewter. Keep burning it or you'll fall unconscious. Vin shook her head, disoriented, trying to make out his words. Tin, he said, flare it, now! She did so. A headache she had almost forgotten instantly flared up within her skull, and she had to squeeze her eyes shut against the blinding sunlight. Her legs ached, and her feet felt even worse. But the sudden wash of senses restored her sanity, and she blinked, looking up at Kelsier. Better? He asked. She nodded. You've done something incredibly unfair to your body, Kelsier said. It should have shut down hours ago, but you have pewter to make it keep going. You'll recover. You'll even get better at pushing yourself like this, but right now you just have to keep burning the pewter and stay awake. We can sleep later. Vin nodded again.
Why?
Her voice croaked as she spoke.
Why did we stop?
Listen. You sounded so croaked. Listen. She did. She heard voices, yelling. She looked up at him.
A battle?
Kelsier nodded. The city of Holstep is about an hour more to the north, but I think we've found what we came for. Come on.
Also, just a pause here. Kelsier still has his wits about him. He's like, Kelsier's done something like this before. Like, this is...
Almost
he
certainly.
knows. Yeah, like, this is... He's used... Not... It's not like he's doing this regularly, but he knows how to do this. And his... Imagine if they'd both just lost their minds. You know? So, yeah, just the experience of Kelsier showing, obviously. Yet, I had to point it out.
Indeed. He released her, dropping a coin and jumping over the canal. Vin followed him as he rushed up a nearby hill. Kelsier crested it, peeking over the top. Then he stood up, staring at something to the east. Vin crested the hill and easily saw the battle, such as it was, in the distance. A shift in the wind brought scents to her nose. Blood. The valley beyond was speckled with corpses. Men still fought on the far side of the valley. A small, ragged group in unmatched clothing was surrounded by a much larger, uniformed army. We're too late, Kelsier said. Our men must have finished off the Holstep garrison, then tried to march back to the caves. But Valtro City is only a few days away, and its garrison is 5,000 strong. Those soldiers got here before we did. Squinting, using tin despite the light, Vin could see that he was right. The larger army wore imperial uniforms, and if the line of corpses was any indication, it had ambushed the Ska soldiers as they passed. Their army didn't have a chance. As she watched, the Ska began to throw up their hands, but the soldiers kept on killing them. Some of the remaining peasants fought desperately, but they were falling almost as quickly. So, before we go on, what do you do if you're Vin and Kelsier in this situation?
Lie down and cry. They're gonna fight, aren't they? I don't know. What do you do? What do you do?
I mean, I don't know. You have your mist cloaks. You could try to pretend to be noblemen and go to the Valtro garrison, the Valtro soldiers, and be like, "Hey, we're taking command here.
Yeah.
Ease up," and you could try to bluff your way into at least a slowing down to try to allow for the
Like a pause, just something.
a pause, or to allow for as many of the rebels as possible to escape. That's one potential pathway forward.
And it's desperate and
it
unlikely to work, but you're desperate, so.
I don't know that Vin would be able to do this, but if Kelsier is feeling up to it, he could try to become a one-man army and take on 5,000 men, though that seems like a stretch.
That's, well, what is the plan here? What was the plan anyway? Like, either way, they were going to fight with the army. Like, I don't know. I think they were going to try and warn them. They're too late. That's the point. They were going to try and warn them.
I think the warning was the
point,
intention behind getting there so quickly. I mean,
so
they could go to the rebels and try to find the commander and take command, but that could backfire if the rebels think that Kelsier is capable of giving them his powers, and then finding out that he's a fraud would totally and utterly destroy any morale that would be left, given that they're being slaughtered right now.
Yeah, because then it's like, you're here and we're still dying. This doesn't make sense. Yeah.
As cold and harsh as it is, I really think they should have gone to Kredek Shaw. Stick to the plan sooner than intended. They go to Kredek Shaw. Ham goes out to help the rebels as best he can. But this is not a good situation.
Oh my god, I don't know what I like this in books where I'm just like, I don't know, I need to know, just tell me the story. I'm like yeah. I'm overwhelmed.
So overwhelmed. It's a slaughter, Kelsier said angrily. The Valtro garrison must have orders to wipe out the entire group. He stepped forward.
Kelsier,
Vin said, grabbing his arm.
what are you doing?
He turned back to her. There are still men down there. My men.
What are you going to do? Attack an entire army by yourself? For what purpose? Your rebels don't have animancy. They won't be able to run away on a swift feet and escape. You can't stop an entire army, Kelsier.
He shook himself free of her grip. She didn't have the strength to hold on. She stumbled, falling to the rough black dirt, throwing up a puff of ash. Kelsier began to stalk down the hill toward the battlefield. Okay, so this is irrational Kelsier. This is elephant out of control Kelsier.
Yeah. And Vin seeing this and she really has no strength to stop it. She doesn't.
No. Vin climbed to her knees.
Kelsier,
She said, shaking with fatigue.
we aren't invincible, remember?
He slowed his next step, then halted on the hill.
You're not invincible.
She whispered.
You can't stop them all. You can't save those men.
Kelsier stood silently, his fists clenched. Then slowly he bowed his head. In the distance, the massacre continued, though there weren't many rebels left.
The caves.
Vin whispered.
Our force would have left men behind, right? Maybe they can tell us why the army exposed itself. Maybe you can save the ones who stayed behind. The Lord Ruler's men will certainly search out the army's headquarters, if they aren't trying already.
Kelsier nodded. All right, let's go.
Yes, she got him back. Thank God. And
Hold
this is a
him
plan.
back.
That's good. Thank you, Vin, because I didn't know what I would do. So there you go. Vin has an idea.
Those poor men.
It's painful, but it's true.
But why? I need to know why.
Yeah, that's the thing. They need to find out why, because that could be even more of a problem. It's probably going to be more of a problem.
Maybe some rebels escaped, defected and escaped, and went to warn people about the rebellion.
And then they had to fight them. And
yeah, so there could be an entirely rational reason.
Let's see. There has to be. Oh, there has to be.
Yeah. There has to be. Kelsier dropped down into the cavern. He had to flare tin to see anything in the deep darkness, lit only by a bit of reflected sunlight from far above. Vin's scraping in the crack above sounded thunderous to his over-enhanced ears. In the cavern itself, nothing. No sound, no light. I'm so scared they're going to find Yedden having had the Kamen treatment right now.
Oh, God, yeah.
I'm really nervous.
Mm.
So she was wrong, Kelsier thought. No one stayed behind. Kelsier breathed out slowly, trying to find an outlet for his frustration and anger. He'd abandoned the men on the battlefield. He shook his head, ignoring what logic told him at the moment. His anger was still too fresh. No, you did the right thing. She was right, Kelsier.
But he's like, no, I'm still angry, okay? I know she was right, but I'm angry. Like he's ignoring, he knows, he's ignoring the logic. He's like, nope.
Which is fair, but...
Yeah.
Vin dropped to the ground beside him, her figure no more than a shadow to his straining eyes. Empty, he declared, his voice echoing hollowly in the cavern. You were wrong. Oh shit, don't say something you don't mean, Kelsier. You're angry. Be very careful.
Yeah. She's the nearest thing for him to lash out at.
Yeah.
No.
Vin whispered.
There.
Suddenly she was off, scrambling across the floor with a cat-like litheness. Kelsier called after her in the darkness, gritted his teeth, then followed her by sound down one of the corridors. Vin, get back here! There's nothing! Kelsier broke off his call. He could just barely make out a flicker of light ahead of him in the corridor. Bloody hell, how did she see it from so far away? He could still hear Vin ahead of him. Kelsier made his way more carefully, checking his metal reserves, worried about a trap left by Ministry agents. As he drew nearer to the light, a voice called out ahead. Who's there? Say the password! Kelsier continued walking, the light growing bright enough for him to see a spear-holding figure backlit in the corridor ahead. Vin waited in the darkness, crouching. She looked up questioningly as Kelsier passed. She seemed to have gotten over the drain of the pewter drag for the moment. When they finally stopped to rest, however, she would feel it. I can hear you, the guard said anxiously. His voice sounded slightly... Oh, okay. I can hear you, the guard said anxiously. His voice sounded slightly familiar. Identify yourself. Captain Demieux, Kelsier realized. One of ours. It's not a trap. C'est the password, Demieux commanded. I need no password, Kelsier said, stepping into the light. Demieux lowered his spear. Lord Kelsier, you've come. Does that mean the army succeeded? Kelsier ignored the question. I did not practice my French accent this week, guys. Kelsier ignored the question. Why aren't you guarding the entrance back there? We thought it would be more defensible to retreat to the inner complex, my lord. There aren't a lot of us left. Kelsier glanced back toward the entrance corridor. How long until the Lord Ruler's men find a captive willing to talk? Vin was right after all. We need to get these men to safety. Vin stood and approached, studying the young soldier with those quiet eyes of hers.
How many of you are there? Also, hello, note, hi. She's Vin again. She's not the girl.
Yes. About 2,000, Demieux said. We are wrong, my lord. I'm sorry. Kelsier looked back at him. Wrong? We thought that General Yedden was acting rashly, Demieux said, blushing in shame. We stayed behind. We thought we were being loyal to you rather than him, but we should have gone with the rest of the army. Okay, so this was Yedden acting
being
rashly. What did you do, Yedden?
Moron!
The army is dead, Kelsier said curtly. Gather your men, Demieux. We need to leave now. What did you do, Yedden?
Oh my god, it's his fault. It's all his fault. Why is he that stupid? But then again, considering his mindset that when we last saw him, he was
overconfident.
Overconfident. And sorry, that is your fault, Kelsier.
And what did Yedden knew the plan? Yedden
stick to the plan.
If he was going to do this, why didn't he go to Hathson? Why would he go?
Yeah. Oh, you're disconnected. Why would he come back?
Why wouldn't he go to Hathson?
Like the worst thing would be for him to trigger the plan early without letting Kelsier go. Like no.
Yeah.
That is as logical as it gets. But what the hell is he doing there?
Yeah. That night, sitting on a tree stump with the mists gathering around him, Kelsier finally forced himself to confront the day's events. He sat with his hands clasped before him, listening to the last faint sounds of the army's men bedding down. Fortunately, someone had thought to prepare the group for quick departure. Each man had a bedroll, a weapon, and enough food for 2 weeks. As soon as Kelsier discovered who had been so foresighted, he intended to give the man a hefty promotion. Not that there was much to command anymore. Oh, the other interesting thing, though, is that this is the group that's loyal to Kelsier, not to Yedden or the rebellion.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, I don't quite know what to make of it. Obviously, right now, we are glad because it saved their lives. But they were soldiers. They were supposed to be following orders. So it's like, what do you do? And that's, okay.
Yeah, what does it say about them?
Yeah.
It says that they're loyal to Kelsier. That's what it says.
Yeah. Not that there was much to command anymore. The remaining 2,000 men, including a depressingly large number of soldiers who were past or before their prime, men wise enough to see that Yedden's plan had been insane, or men young enough to be frightened. Kelsier shook his head. So many dead. They'd gathered nearly 7,000 troops before this fiasco, but now most of them lay dead. Yedden had apparently decided to test the army by striking at night against the Holstep garrison. What had led him to such a foolish decision? He just wanted to test it.
Oh my god. Why? And also, just a point that came up while you were reading that. Okay, Demieux is the guy that you would expect him to be like, yeah, we're all powerful now, and rash and stupid, because he literally experienced this power, right? So,
I would disagree with you there.
Why?
I don't think he was made comfortable at the end of his duel.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, yeah, I don't know. My gut instinct is.
What do you mean by made comfortable?
I said made uncomfortable.
Oh, because I heard comfortable. Okay. No, it's not. Yeah.
because I think he knew like that he wasn't controlling
Yeah.
the thing. Everyone else thought he was
Yeah.
controlling the thing, but he himself uniquely knew.
And he didn't say anything about it. Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so he knows that there's so he it makes sense that he would be the voice against it. Yeah, you're right. I retract. Okay.
I don't know. It doesn't matter though, because even if this was done at night, it reveals that there is a large enough rebellion to do the thing, and they were relying on secrecy. Screw
That's just so
testing.
stupid. Fucking idiot.
Me, Kelsier thought, this is my fault. He'd promised them supernatural aid. He'd set himself up, had made Yedden a part of the crew, and had talked so casually about doing the impossible. Was it any wonder that Yedden had thought he could attack the final Empire head on, considering the confidence Kelsier had given him? Was it any wonder the soldiers would go with the man, considering the promises Kelsier had made? I mean, yeah, but
Yeah.
again, I didn't like that chapter because I felt it was slightly out of character for Kelsier.
Kelsier made
Slightly.
Yeah, but that means Kelsier can also not like what he did. Now,
Yeah.
makes sense.
But
he thought he was being a realist. He was doing the right thing. He was doing it all for the right cause when he did that, and it was all to get them where they need to go. But this is the fallout from that.
Yeah.
And also, yeah.
I'm still just so blown away by Yedden's apparent stupidity.
Moron. Yeah, just absolute. What the hell, dude? Oh my god. I think this is gonna really sit with me for the whole week. I'm gonna be like really pissed off. But also, with this, because of the confidence Kelsier had given them. Look, you can still be loyal and to Kelsier and be like, yeah, cool. He gave us this confidence, but it's stupid for us to not be with him when we do this test or whatever you want to talk about. Like, that shouldn't. I understand how it did lead people to go, we can do it. I can understand how they would think that. But there's also a more intelligent thing that what these guys did. It's like, well, that's still against the plan. Hello?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And it's like, even if Yedden thought that Kelsier could lend supernatural aid, Kelsier's not there to do so.
Yeah, I don't understand.
And
moron.
they even a paper tiger. They are a paper pigeon.
Oh my god. I'm angry at him. Like, I'm sorry. I understand Kelsier saying this is my fault, but it's like he made the stupid decision. Okay, he made the stupid decision.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't. He was supposed to stick to the order. Oh, I should have known that Yedden was just stupid. Like, I don't know. That's not good enough for me. I'm angry enough. Sorry, the blame is not just Kelsier's here.
True. Now men were dead, and Kelsier was responsible. Death wasn't new to him. Neither was failure. Not anymore. But he couldn't get over the twisting in his gut. True, the men had died fighting the final empire, which was as good a death as any Scot could hope for. However, the fact that they'd likely died expecting some sort of divine protection from Kelsier, that was disturbing. He wasn't there! No one...
Yeah.
You knew this was hard.
Also, sorry. He wasn't there. So if Yedden went and promised them that Kelsier would come, that's a stupid move. I want to know more about what Yedden... Oh, Gora, I hate him. Okay.
Yeah. You knew this would be hard, he told himself. You understood the burden you were taking upon yourself. But what right had he? Even members of his own crew, Ham, Breeze, and the others, assumed that the final empire was invincible. They followed because of their faith in Kelsier and because he had couched his plans in the form of a thieving job. Well, now that job's patron was dead. A scout sent to check the battlefield had, for better or worse, been able to confirm Yedden's death.
Okay, that's no comfort. I'm like, yeah, duh. Okay. Doesn't change anything. I'm not like, yay, we got revenge. It's like, yeah, that's stupid. He shouldn't have been stupid enough to die.
Yeah. Okay. Wow. So Yedden is dead.
He's dead.
This. Wow.
Oh, didn't you pick it up when you read it?
No, I did. It's sitting with me.
He's
What
gone.
sad, pitiful death that must have been for him too.
And it is on him. It's his fault that he died. I'm sorry.
As far, yeah. I can't. I think that's what it is. I think it is. There's not going to be a reveal or anything. It's just he wanted to test the army's strength.
Mm. Ooh, jeez!
Wow.
Look what happened. Ooh.
I did not expect that either.
Yeah, you were thinking of. Remember, you said like, oh, they're gonna have the Cameron experience. Well, look what happened here.
Yeah. No, I'm not a betting man, but of my 3 options, I would have bet that they had that the rebels were growing rowdy and that they tied up Yedden to prevent him from doing anything, and then they went on their own to test their own strength or something. Like that would have been. I'm genuinely
struck.
Yeah, shooketh. The soldiers had put his head on a spear beside the road, along with several of Ham's officers. The job was dead. They had failed. The army was gone. There would be no rebellion, no seizing of the city. Footsteps approached. Kelsier looked up, wondering if he had the strength to stand. Vin lay curled up beside his stump, asleep on the hard ground, only her mist cloak for a cushion. Their extended pewter drag had taken a lot out of the girl, and she had collapsed virtually the moment Kelsier had called a halt for the night. He wished he could do the same. However, he was far more experienced with pewter dragging than she was. His body would give out eventually, but he could keep going for a bit longer. A figure appeared from the mists, hobbling in Kelsier's direction. The man was old. Is it Menace? Older than any that Kelsier had recruited.
I know who it is. Okay,
Don't. He. Oh, and
it is
also,
Menace. It must be Menace. Yeah.
What does this mean for Marsh? Marsh is gonna be.
He's in there.
Pissed the hell off when he finds out that the entire army, the rebellion, is wiped out, or nearly the entire, right? Because he's doing what he's doing for the rebellion, but I have a feeling that Marsh is gonna blame Kelsier for this.
Oh yeah, I think he would.
I place more blame on Yedden right now than I do Kelsier, because Yedden had to just stick to the plan, but I have a feeling Marsh will blame Kelsier primarily here.
Yeah, he will. I feel like that as well. But also, just thinking about sticking to the plan, and yes, okay, if they had gone to Critic Shore immediately instead of going through all of this, they would have hopefully hit the hit the room or whatever and gotten what they need. They would be in a better position anyway. That's what I feel like. They would have had some sort of advance on the Lord Ruler himself, something that had not been done ever before. Whereas but then the thing is, they wouldn't have an army to take over the city. So the plan was already foiled from there. But that part of the plan would still have been possible with the garrison gone. There was supposed to be something. So it's not without flaws, the fact that them going to Critic Shore. It's not like that would be the they could also have failed there and everything. And also that doesn't mean the plan would have gone forth and, unfolded the way it was supposed to anyway, because you needed the rest of the army. You needed the army to take over the city. That just wouldn't work.
Yeah.
But they would have had something against the ruler.
Yeah.
Might have even killed him. So yeah, there is something lost here more than just the lives.
Definitely.
God, the job is dead. Yep.
He must have been part of the rebellion from earlier, one of the Ska who had been living in the caves before Kelsier hijacked them. The man chose a large stone beside Kelsier's stump, sitting with a sigh. It was amazing that one so old had been able to keep up. Kelsier had moved the group at a fast pace, seeking to distance them as much as possible from the cave complex. The men will sleep fitfully, the old man said. They aren't accustomed to being out in the mists. They don't have much of a choice, Kelsier said. The old man shook his head. I suppose they don't. He sat for a moment, aged eyes unreadable. You don't recognize me, do you? Kelsier searched his memory. I'm sorry. Did I recruit you? After a fashion. I was one of the ska at Lord Tresting's plantation. It's Menace.
It is him.
Oh my gosh. I don't remember what I did for Menace's voice so long ago.
But I think I don't think it was this old. But
well, it's been months.
It's okay, and he was already like creaking when we first met him.
Kelsier opened his mouth slightly in surprise, finally noticing a slight familiarity to the man's bald head and his tired yet somehow strong posture. The old man I sat with that night. Your name was Menace. After you killed Tresting, we retreated up to the caves where the rebels there took us in. A lot of the others left eventually, off to find other plantations to join. Some of us stayed. Kelsier nodded. You're behind this, aren't you? He said, gesturing toward the camp. The preparations? Menace shrugged. Some of us can't fight, so we do other things. Kelsier leaned forward. What happened, Menace? Why did Yedden do this? Menace shook his head. Though most expect young men to be fools, I've noticed that a little bit of age can make a man far more foolish than he was as a child. Yedden, well, he was the type who was too easily impressed, both by you and by the reputation you left for him. Some of his generals thought it might be a good idea to give the men some practice battle experience, and they figured a night raid on the Holstep garrison would be a clever move. Apparently it was more difficult than they assumed. I mean,
it's just the stupidity of it. It just hits me every single time. I'm not over it.
I'm so mad. Kelsier shook his head. Even if they'd been successful, exposing the army would have made it useless to us.
Exactly.
Yes, Yedden, you knew the plan. You knew the real plan. I don't know what the generals knew or thought they knew regarding Halfson.
You know, like, and he's dead. That's it. Like, he's dead.
Yep.
And that's not even satisfying. I'm sorry. I maintain it's not even satisfying because I just wish this did not happen at all.
Kelsier shook his head. Even if they'd been successful, exposing the army would have made it useless to us. They believed in you, Menace said quietly. They thought that they couldn't fail. Kelsier sighed, resting his head back, staring up into the shifting mists. He slowly let his breath exhale, its air mingling with the currents overhead. So, what becomes of us? Menace asked. We'll split you up, Kelsier said. Get you back into Luthadel in small groups, lose you among the Ska population. Menace nodded. He seemed tired, exhausted, yet he didn't retire. Kelsier could understand that feeling. Do you remember our conversation back on Tresting's plantation? Menace asked. A bit, Kelsier said. You tried to dissuade me from making trouble, but it didn't stop you. Troublemaking is about the only thing I'm good at, Menace. Do you resent what I did there? What I forced you to become? This is the hero at the low point. Poor Kelsier. Menace nodded grimly. But in a way, I'm thankful for that resentment. I believe that my life was over. I woke each day expecting that I wouldn't have the strength to rise, but, well, I found purpose again in the caves. For that I am grateful. Even after what I did to the army? Menace snorted. Don't think quite so highly of yourself, young man. Those soldiers got themselves killed. You might have been their motivation, but you didn't make the choice for them.
Exactly.
Yep. Regardless, this isn't the first Ska rebellion to get slaughtered. Not by far. In a way, you've accomplished a lot. You gathered an army of considerable size, and then you armed and trained it beyond what anyone had a right to expect. Things went a little more quickly than you anticipated, but you should be proud of yourself. Proud? Kelsier asked, standing to work off some of his agitation. This army was supposed to help overthrow the final empire, not get themselves killed fighting a meaningless battle in a valley weeks outside of Luthadel. Overthrow that? Menace looked up, frowning. You really expected to do something like that? Of course, Kelsier said. Why else would I gather an army like this? To resist, Menace said. To fight. That's why those lads came to the caves. It wasn't a matter of winning or losing. It was a matter of doing something, anything to struggle against the Lord Ruler. Kelsier turned. You expected the army to lose from the beginning? I mean, that's what the other guy from the not great chapter said.
And he was not happy about that. He didn't think it was noble.
Yeah. What other end was there? Menace asked. He stood shaking his head. Some may have begun to dream otherwise, lad, but the Lord Ruler can't be defeated. I don't believe that. Once I gave you some advice. I told you to be careful which battles you chose to fight. I've realized that this battle was worth fighting. Now let me give you another piece of advice, Kelsier, survivor of Hathsin. Know when to quit. You've done well, better than anyone would have expected. Those Ska of yours killed an entire garrison's worth of soldiers before they were caught and destroyed. This is the greatest victory the Ska have known in decades, perhaps centuries. Now it's time to walk away. I disagree, old man. With that, the old man nodded his head in respect, then began to shuffle back toward the center of the camp. Kelsier stood dumbfounded. The greatest victory the Ska have known in decades. What do you think, Kitteh?
The greatest victory the Ska has known in decades. Therefore, how do you walk away from that? How do you stop and be like, okay, we're done? Like, oh, it's a sunken cost fallacy over here. We've sunk a lot of cost here. Can we please continue? Like, that's what I'm feeling. So I guess he's wise. He's saying, listen, quit while you're behind even, okay? You're alive. So
there is still a force. Look, okay. Destroy the pits of Hathsin. If you still have, what does he have left? Like 2,000 soldiers? Didn't they say they only needed 1,000 to be able to take Hathsin? Go, attack Hathsin, destroy Atium, upset the economy because of it, continue to do the house war thing.
Yeah.
That is how you move forward from here. Take the 2,000, lead them, Kelsier, and destroy all of the Atium.
You can't stop here. Sorry, that's even worse.
Yeah. That was what he fought against. Not just the Lord Ruler, not just the nobility. He fought against 1,000 years of conditioning, 1,000 years of life in a society that would label the deaths of 5,000 men as a great victory. Life was so hopeless for the Ska that they'd been reduced to finding comfort in expected defeats. And that wasn't a victory, Menace, Kelsier whispered. I'll show you a victory. Hey, Kelsier!
Yeah, let's go!
He forced himself to smile, not out of pleasure and not out of satisfaction. He smiled despite the grief he felt at the deaths of his men. He smiled because that was what he did. That was how he proved to the Lord Ruler and to himself that he wasn't beaten. No, he wasn't going to walk away. He wasn't finished yet. Not by far. The end of part 3.
That's epic!
I am so glad we chose this chapter of all chapters for our blind read through.
Yeah, we did. Gosh. Imagine reading the last chapter like this as well. Huh? Anyway.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. That was a hectic chapter. Painful. So much physical stuff, so much mental stuff, and this crescendo at the end there. You can hear the music. Yeah.
This is the death and rebirth part.
Yeah. Right there.
Hero at the low point.
I'm glad that we got someone telling Kelsier that those men made a decision themselves. Okay, they were motivated by you, yes, but they made a decision themselves. I do put some blame on Kelsier for being foolhardy, but no, sorry, the stupidity of Jeden, that is unfathomable. It's
Yeah, I'm so mad at Jeden. I'm so mad at him.
Yeah, and people are like, oh, he goes through quite a. Yes, is the audience. You freaking gaslit us. Like he goes through an arc and whatever. Like, yeah, he goes through a huge swing up into the too close to the sun, falls back down to earth. Freaking.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, thanks. That was great. Thanks. I hate it and love it because I hate it because it made me feel things, and that's what I want from a story.
Yeah.
Mm.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. I need to sit with that for a while. So
Yes. Yeah.
thanks everyone for
Yeah.
tuning in for this one.
Drop a like if you don't like Jeden. Like the video if you don't like Jeden. If you don't like the video, that means you really think yeah Jeden. Which you know what?
Look. If you don't like Jeden, like the video. If you like Jeden, like the video. If you do not feel strongly one way or the other about Jeden, like the video.
Like the video.
But also, go and subscribe to ThatDarnKitteh. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. We'll see you in part 4, Dancers in a Sea of Mist. Okay, thanks. Bye.
Thanks, boy.